Hello and welcome to Pete Sechelowski'S Wrestleplace, your number one source for all pro wrestling news, opinions, and all news across the pro wrestling landscape on the internet, beyond all television and pay-per-views. My name is Pete Sechelowski, and welcome. We've got a great show today covering my top 3 favorite tag teams of all time. Before we go to the phones, let's get right into my top 3 list. Okay, at number 3, this tag team is no stranger to everybody who loved the mayhem and hardcore wrestling of the 1990s and beyond. Starting in ECW and then on to the WWF, now WWE. They're, of course, the Dudley Boyz. Get the tables. Bubba Ray Dudley and Devon Dudley, who have held titles in both federations. Number 2 is the Midnight Express, initially formed by Dennis Condrey and Randy Rhoads. Midnight Express, who ran roughshod over the NWA territory and others, under the management of Jim Cornette, and feuding with such greats as, of course, the Fantastics and the Rock and Roll Express. And our next, last but not least, who's number 1. It's the number 1 tag team on Pete Sechelowski's my top 3 is the Road Warriors. We of course know them from running roughshod over the AWA, NWA, and WWF through many different federations. They held so many titles. Hard to deny their contribution to pro wrestling. Okay, before any further ado, let's go to the phones and get opinions from our wrestling fans through podcasts and internet and beyond. Hello, caller, you're on Pete. Hello, you're on Pete Sechelowski's Wrestleplace.
Pete
hello,
Sechelowski's
this is Pete Sechelowski's Wrestleplace. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Jerry Wozniak calling from Grand Rapids, Michigan.
All right, Jerry, good to have you.
Yeah, I hope. Pro wrestling capital of the world, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I don't know about that, but
you think about where we're located. I saw a lot of great shows.
Welcome to Pete Sechelowski. Hello,
NWA Chicago and Minnesota.
Okay,
so you see a lot of things there. But
so we've got our top 3 here, and we're happy you called in.
Okay, well, I like the show, but I got a bone of contention to pick with you, I guess, is how they say it. I'm not so sure the Dudley Boyz should be on that list. That's 3.
Okay, this is my top 3 list of the best, greatest tag teams of all time, with regard to their contributions.
Well, what about Rock and Roll Express? What about the Blackjacks? What about the Steiners? I think those are all a lot.
They're all I would not take anything away from.
We are taking something away from.
Well, not the Blackjacks are definitely their contributions, and I've listed the Rock and Roll Express as one of the. Actually, we're almost on that list. But we're definitely in my top 10. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for calling, and we'll keep the show going. But it's important to remember this is my top 10, my top 3 list. Yeah, babe.
Get my banana chips.
No, babe. I'm doing my podcast, babe.
Podcast.
Okay, so let's go back to the phones. Hello.
Hello, Pete.
Welcome. Yeah, hello.
Jerry Wozniak from
Welcome to
Grand Rapids.
Yeah, this is.
Concerning, you said the Rock and Roll Express were almost on the list. I have to say, I saw the Rock and Roll Express beat the Midnight Express many times at Starrcade. I want to know how you can justify them being still on the list. That being the fact of the matter.
Well, I'd like to hear from you, caller. Why you feel that the Rock and Roll Express should be ahead of the Midnight Express, especially given that the Midnight Express came before the Rock and Roll.
It's very simple. If it came before, then would you be putting Gotch, and who original people on there? It's not about who came first. Definitely. And also, very simply, I saw the Rock and Roll Express beat the Midnight Express at 2 or 3 Starrcades. I mean, what more proof do you need than that? And I gotta say, Pete, what about the Midnight Express? Sure, Dennis Condrey, but is it the one with Stan Lane? The one with Randy Rhoads? Which one is it? I mean, they're interchangeable. Which team is it?
No, I'm not saying that they're not a great tag team, the Rock and Roll Express, but I'm just saying that
2 members, solid, all the way through.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your call. Okay, now let's move on to the part of the show where we answer some of our listener tweets. Let's go to listener tweets. This one is from @J.Wozniak, Blackjacks Forever. Hey, Pete, I'm a listener of your show. I know you will be doing your top 3 soon. Blackjacks are the greatest tag team of all time. I love your show. Okay, well, thank you very much for that tweet. Let's go back to the phones before we go any further here on Pete Sechelowski's Wrestleplace. Caller, go ahead. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Jerry Wozniak, Grand Rapids. Pete, just want to know how you can justify British Bulldogs not being on the list.
Okay, thank you very much for your call, Jerry. I just want you to remember something, and I think that everybody should remember this who is listening. This is my I don't have your banana chips, babe. I'm doing my podcast.
Did you buy them?
Yeah, I don't know where they are, babe.
That's a mango.
I don't know.
Mango.
Okay, I just want everybody to remember that this on Pete Sechelowski's Wrestleplace, that these views and opinions belong to Pete Sechelowski and are trademarked by Pete Sechelowski's Wrestleplace. This is not necessarily reflective of the views of other podcasts, magazines, so on and so forth, but this is the top 3 tag teams of all time. Let's go back to the phones. You're on Pete Sechelowski's Wrestleplace. So, hello, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Pete, Jerry Wozniak, Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Hi, Jerry.
Still got a bone to pick about that number 3, the Dudley Boyz. I can't, I'm thinking of so many other teams.
Okay.
How about Michigan's own Steiners?
All right.
How do you think the Steiners stack up to the
How
Dudley
about,
Boyz?
okay, why don't you go ahead?
I'll
Tell you what, Jerry. Why don't you go ahead and give me your top 3?
Well, my top 3 right now, I got the Blackjacks at number 1.
No.
I got the Road Warriors at number 2.
My Road Warriors were number 1 on my list.
Well, I got the Blackjacks at number 1. Road Warriors at number 2.
Uh-huh.
And I got who you got rounding up there? I gotta say, I gotta put the Rock and Roll Express up there. The biggest overachievers. But the Dudley Boyz. I mean, there's so many teams I put above the Dudley Boyz. I put Doom above the Dudley. I put the Powers of Pain above the Dudley Boyz. I put the British Bulldogs above the Dudley Boyz. I put
But by and large, most of your teams that you are listing are all from the era of the 70s and 80s, and I'm taking great care at putting out this list also to span generations of wrestling and to acknowledge the contribution that the Dudley Boyz have brought to the sport of professional wrestling, ushering it in to the 90s and through to the 2000s to the Attitude Era of WWF, now WWE, and what their I think it's hard to take away.
Tell you what, Pete, I'll put the New Age Outlaws on there. I put the New Age Outlaws.
Okay, you before the Dudley Boyz?
I'll put the New Age Outlaws before the Dudley Boyz.
Okay, thank you very much.
Because I'll tell you what, Pete.
All right.
I'll tell you what, Pete.
Okay.
The New Age Outlaws
Thank you very much for your call. Thank you very much for your call.
The last year.
Thank you very much.
How long?
Okay.
You want to talk about spanning eras?
Okay, thank you very much for your call. Okay, let's go to the emails now.
I don't know where. Are you done?
What? Babe, I'm doing my podcast, babe.
You're done with the podcast?
Not yet. I'll be up in a minute. Okay, let's go to the emails. This email is from Jerry Wozniak, who says, hey Pete, I love your show. I am looking forward to your top 3 tag teams episode where you will run down the top 3 tag teams. I just want to put my bid in for the Blackjacks. Thank you very much for your email, Jerry. And let's go back to the phones before we go any further into the list. But before we do, I just want to say to everyone listening that this is my list, and I think it's hard to take away the contributions over the years of certainly the Dudley Boyz, not to mention the Midnight Express and the Road Warriors. Go ahead. You're on Pete Sechelowski's Wrestleplace. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Jay Wozniak, Michigan.
Hi, Jerry.
Want to know about the British Bulldogs, where they fit and why they're not in that list. If you can't have the Blackjacks, I think the British Bulldogs.
No, the British Bulldogs are definitely one of the great. Well, they're definitely legends. Davey Boy Smith and Dynamite Kid are 2 of the greatest wrestlers to ever strap them on and to ever perform in the squared circle. But I will say that. Oh, it looks like we're just about out of time.
You mentioned the Hart Foundation.
Okay, no, the Hart Foundation did not make my list, Jerry. But
the Hart Foundation probably should be on the list.
Thank you very much. Okay, but Jerry.
The Hart Foundation definitely.
I don't know if they're better than the British Bulldogs. You're bringing up the Hart Foundation. British Bulldogs were around before the Hart Foundation.
It's who won more?
No, it's not about who won more. I think it's hard to ignore. In a sport that's based on winning, I think that who wins is definitely what has